Hey guys, welcome back. It is Tuesday, so you know what that means. Flight Club. So you know who our special guest is tonight. We got Mr. Jeff Customs RC, Dustin Ravenrock. Yes, I shortened my name, and Mr. James from Motion RC.
Hey,
All
what's
right.
up, guys? What's going on? Pleasure to be here.
What's up,
Am
James?
I
How you
visible
tonight?
yet?
Hey, look,
I'm
and
doing all
tell
right.
tell us so we know, James. Just tell us exactly how to pronounce your last name.
I say Burlich. That just made it easier. The silent U, silent C. Long story short, coming over from Ellis Island, I think my grandfather had like it was my grandfather like Yugoslavia was Italy, then it was Yugoslavia, then it like changed a bunch of times. So my real last name was Burlcy without the CH. Then they added a C, then they added an H. I think my grandfather got off at like Ellis Island or something, had three different versions of the spelling and just threw two out and rolled with one, and it is what it is. And it's, my wife went from a really nice last name to she's a teacher and Mrs. I'm like, you're just Mrs. B. Every class it would be Mr. Burlich. It's just is what it is.
And we're humbled to have you here tonight. We appreciate you giving us your time. Kind of like one of those things where we're not worthy,
Oh, come on.
having you here. But yeah, we had a great time, talking with you last night a little bit, and just appreciate you
Like
being
two
here.
and a half hours.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
We might as well have
Well, like-
recorded that and just played
Yeah,
it.
I mean, guys, in case you don't know, James is just a very approachable, fun guy, and we just got to talking last night and had a great time. But so just glad to have all you guys here tonight. Got a good crowd going on, and how you doing tonight, Dustin? What's up, buddy?
Doing well. I'm in the shop, obviously, so I'm not in my hangar. Running some more of those F-14 parts, so thank you guys for the support. Got running some more F-18 parts as well. But yeah, I'm here just making parts and working on some other stuff like top secret stuff for planes. Maybe 2-3 weeks. In testing right now.
Cool.
It's cool that you guys are doing that. Like you got together with Rich and stuff, and everything. It's like I love like seeing all the people that making these like accessories, like the afterburner guys like Gooniac and Lightburner and RC Geek, and now you guys with these wild mods don't even know how to put them in. Call them yet, but it's just specialized mods and all that stuff. It all helps. It's all cool that people are out there doing all that stuff.
Well,
the dedication in this hobby from people is crazy sometimes.
Well, and that's the thing, man. I mean, and basically, just to put it out there, I'll give condolences and prayers for Dave Marshall and Amy, guys. They're going through a lot right now, and thanks to everyone in this, as James just said, this awesome community for standing by them, being with them. I can't imagine having kids myself. And losing one. So Amy, Dave, we love you guys, and prayers go out to you. Hang in there, and yes, as a community, we are here for you always, buddy. So let us know if we can do anything for you, man.
Absolutely.
So he's a member of my club. He flies at the CCRC. I don't speak to him that often. Like I don't get to, we just show up at different times and such. But just that was devastating to hear that day that passed around, and there's no words to that. I lost a sister years ago, and my parents still aren't the same. Like our family still isn't the same. It never, it gets easier, but it never goes away.
Absolutely. That's something that parents should never have to do, because
I
I just got to work and like sat down to eat my biscuit, and first thing I do, kind of like my morning thing, nobody talks to me for like the first 15 minutes I'm here. I'm not a morning person, and then like I read that, and it's like one of those things where you have to like read it repeatedly and then like read it like line by line. You're like, am I really reading this? Like, is this really happening? And I mean, Dave, after we got done talking, I saw that he had came online, made a video, and I mean that tore me up just watching him.
The second. Yeah, I watched it today. We were doing this. I didn't realize he went live. We were tested.
Yeah, I watched it this morning.
I mean, the community, for those that didn't watch Dave Marshall last night, the generosity and the compassion and the camaraderie with this, just with the RC group period. I mean, Everybody
I
pitched in
think they
something.
paid for the services too.
Yeah,
like it
yeah,
all
I
got
mean-
funded through the. I mean,
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I mean,
like unforeseen costs that would have came up that you never want to have to deal with is now, like
and everything's
this
covered.
hobby is that's the beauty of this hobby in general. It's very hard to find bad people in it, and they get weeded out fast. It's mostly good people, like
Oh man, yeah.
yeah, all
Like if
friends with
you,
Dave and
like if you complain about painting models white from the factory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like so what?
Yeah. So James, so tell
Yeah,
us.
you got
man,
me here. I'm just excited I don't have to produce the show,
Yeah,
like this is what I said last night. I'm like, I'm at your whim.
It's just
Yeah.
chilling.
So tell us, man, how long have you been doing this awesome hobby, man, and what got you into it, bud?
So my story is, as many who might know, I popped up on Hobby King a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think it's about late 2013. So I was, let's back it up. So right now I'm the global marketing manager of Motion RC. When I went to college back in early 2000s, I went to BU for marketing and finance. Came out, so it wasn't quite what I had in mind. So I went back to school to learn video and editing, and because I thought, all right, marketing, you see where the world's going with social media, and everybody needs content. So if I could be a content creator that also knows the back end of where to go, because that's what the marketing is, how to get it out there. It's if I could do it all, jack of all trades, that would be great. So I ended up working for news companies on Long Island, Cablevision, MSG, filming sports games and editing those, and filming news and stories, and just all around. Then I was freelancing like weddings and things like that, and it was going great. And then I just wanted something more full time. I had my first baby, and freelancing is hard, like it comes and goes. So sometimes you're used more than you want to be, or not used, and
Yeah.
Things get canceled. You don't get any money for it. It's like it's rough. So I wanted something stable. Happened to be searching around and found an ad on one of the video sites that like professional videographers will go to for job listings, and it was from a steward at this place called Hobby King. They're like, do you like RC toys? Basically was what it was. I'm like, well, I like toys. Who doesn't like toys? But if back then, so this is 2013, if you had told me, RC, like I said last night, the only thing I would have thought of is RC cars that like Toys R Us. Right. I mean, whose dad didn't buy them some car at Toys R Us, and you crash it into the curb one day. Dad looks at it and is like, I ain't fixing that, and that's the end. You move on to your next toy. Like, that was all my knowledge. I had no idea, that people even flew radio control aircraft. Like, I just never came across it in my entire life. My father didn't know. I didn't know anybody who ever did it. So, I put my name into the hat and just said, I could film anything, and it sounded cool. I watched some videos. I'm like, well, these things are crazy. But I ended up meeting a guy out at a field, which I didn't even know was 25 minutes from my house, like an RC field just tucked away at a park that I never went to, like in the backwoods, I'm like, this is cool. Filmed it, threw in my, within an hour, I had an edited piece of what I had filmed. They gave me like 3 days. I was like, 3 days, like crank it out like I do. And, and I got a call back, take the same footage, make something else. And so long story short, I got hired by Hobby King, and my job there, Stuart was, if you guys remember Stuart Warren, he was basically the brand manager of Durafly. He was the lead video guy at Hobby King, but he was moving up there. So, and also they were trying to expand into the US to have some presence here. So they were starting, I don't know why they picked New York of all places to start an office, but they did. So I was thankful for that. But so I was sort of the U.S. guy. I was never meant to be on camera. That was never my intent. Like I was going to be the guy behind, like filming, and we had a Matt Feinstein, if you guys remember Matt over there. Like he was sort of, it was one team here, and then Stuart has his team in Hong Kong. So the idea was global. All the videos would be back and forth between the two, and it was absolutely awesome. Had a great time there, learned a bunch, and slowly you start itching, like I think I can do that. I think I can, let me try. So flying in the background. I actually started with like the drones, I think they had the Quantum Nova was like a Phantom style drone that they had sold, and that was one of the first things that I flew around. Then like with the planes, I remember looking at planes being like, I'm never going to be able to learn orientation. That looks too hard. So Matt, of all people, Matt was like, try FPV, because I'm a video game generation kind of guy. I played Call of Duty and Halo and all that stuff. So when I put the goggles on, I flew a plane immediately. It was flying really well, like going low. I was like, up is up, down is down. Now this is easy. You know what I mean? Like I get the controls here. And then it's funny, like, so I was really into FPV, but then I started to take the goggles off, and I could see, you know, like, because you're flying at the same spot, like, wherever my plane was in the air, I had a visual in my head of, so, like, it helped me learn orientation really quickly. And then you just took it from there. So, you know, how I ended up at Motion was just, you know, again, Hobby King's based. They were based in Australia at the time. They opened an office there. That's where, you know, the CEO's from, and a lot of the employees are Australian. And I just saw, like, the only way I was ever going to advance, you know, any further was I had to be close to the source. And I'm like, I'm not leaving America. You know, I'm not moving my whole family to, you know, little kids. So, you know, I realized I loved this. I loved this industry. I liked, you know, all the times we went down south. I knew I always wanted to move south, and the opportunity just sort of melded. You know, Stewart had left, and he came here, and he called me and said they're looking for somebody, just like, you know, it'd be like getting the band back together, sort of, with, you know, and, you know, and I'm like, oh, that would be awesome. So, you know, I went through a whole process here with Mark Etsy, the owner of Motion, and that's how I ended up here. He just said, you know, we just need a marketing department, because Motion never had their own marketing team on salary. You know, they were always freelancing everything, and, you know, it's tough. They're a growing company. They can't manage that and manage, you know, like, so I was like, I'll take that. Let me take that all on. So, you know, so I picked my whole family up. My wife was cool with it to move. He said anywhere in the South where the weather's going to be good a majority of the year. And my wife had family about 30 minutes away here, and, you know, I'm just north of Atlanta, and we had been down. I said, let me be close to a big city, just in case, you know, like, you know, this doesn't work for me. But I don't regret it. I mean, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. I've enjoyed being here, and, like, you know, and then the second I got down here, I was like, well, I need to learn how to fly more. So just every day I was going out, especially with the jets, because jets was not something, you know, my previous company was known for, you know what I mean? So, like, not too many jets came our way through that whole 5 years that I was there. But here, this was like, you know, a whole new ball game. Like, oh my goodness, I gotta learn fast, throw my feet in the fire here. So I grabbed myself, I think a Hawk was the first thing I ever got myself, and that's what I sort of cut my chops on, was the BAE Hawk. It had just come out, I think that November 2017. I was here for about 2 months, so I was learning that, you know, on the side. Yeah, and then slowly but surely, that's sort of my short story, if you will, if that's too long, but that's sort of how I came. So this hobby is still a job first for me. You know, it's always been a job for me. But it definitely is now my hobby too. Like, I can't lie that, you know, work never really stops. I could always be doing something, and it's fun, you know. Sometimes when my wife tells me, what are you doing? You had all day doing that. I'm like, but I enjoy it. Right. You know, like,
I have to choose between airplanes and trucks and tanks. I mean, you know, daggone, man. It's like, how do you pick what you're gonna do more of? Or, I mean, I'd be crazy, man. I just think it'd be awesome to be able to do all that stuff.
Yeah, well, now, I mean, you know, obviously now the website's expanding pretty rapidly with the new brands of products. You know what I mean? Like, the quick transition to the scale helis, which I'd love to learn. There's only so much time in the day. You know, to sit try to tune it. I would love to be making heli videos, but I've got a whole lot of aspects of my job that aren't on camera. You know what I mean? Like, and then you got to find the time to do that too, because, you know, content is king. You got to have content about your product. So, you know, as we're growing here, the eventual goal, I believe, would be to have, you know, not just me. It can't just be me, you know, and it shouldn't just be me. Push comes to shove. No matter who's here doing this, the products are the stars. You know, they always are. Like, I try to make them that's the basis of all the content you see. The products are great. The service is good. That's Motion RC's main thing. Anyone could do this. But if I could have a few other people, you know, like it'd be great to have a heli guy who did heli videos and have a playlist dedicated for that, and a car guy now because we have cars coming, and you know, tanks. And
it's like I told you last night, man. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I loved 18-wheelers. That's awesome.
Yeah, these things are coming. Like, I know nothing about 18-wheelers.
Yeah.
You know, I know about as much as everybody else based on reading the product pages. You know, Alpha talks to me about it, and you know, until I can have one sitting in my hands and play with it. But something like that, like the tanks, I find really fun. A great way to learn into surface because they don't break as much. They're not, you know, it's very hard to smash a tank like a car, you know.
Do you know, James, I know with the tanks, you know, they have the diesel sounds and they have the smoke. Do you know if the 18-wheelers are going to have like air brake sounds and smoke and diesel engine sounds? I mean, do you have any idea about any of that?
I know a fantastic place you could find all that information. MotionRC.com.
Do tell us.
I know the guy who wrote the product page, and you know, all that information is going to be there. I would assume so. I mean, the prices of some of these things. What I find cool, a lot of these bodies come unpainted. Yeah. So, like, if you're getting a semi-truck, you could really, you know, I could see Callie, she better get her semi-truck game on, like, you know. But, you know, like, and that's the funny thing, too. Now, yeah, I'm really enjoying the modeling part. Ever since we got the airbrushes in and the tanks, like, you know, I don't necessarily enjoy driving them as much as I love detailing them and getting accessories, and, you know, they display really well is what I love about them, too. But then they are fun because I have 3 young kids. And since they are so tame, and, you know, like my son, who I think would eventually tells me he wants to learn how to fly planes, it's great to get a pair of sticks in his hand, you know, and like with a tank, it's very easy for them. So the 4 of us could go out and just, you know, bash around these tanks and just have some fun with the infrared, and they enjoy it. And, you know, but I can't wait to take, I was building a whole house, and we were going to have a whole city at Null, like guys were going to bring that stuff, and that all sort of went out the window. Like, who knows about shows? But I was excited to, you know, have some. I want to go to like a real. I see these people post these amazing, you know, fake cities and such all over, and I love sharing them on my live show. I can't wait to see one. That's another. Like, I didn't even know that aspect of the hobby existed. Until,
so there's a museum up in Virginia that they do like scale, RC scale tanks, like tank battles. And that's pretty cool. I want to go up there.
Yeah, it's the main tank museum. Yeah, and it's funny. They were apparently though they were like they only allowed Tamiya tanks. You know, Henlong wasn't allowed in because they didn't play nice together. But now we're getting Tamiya tanks. If you guys see our website, so now the Tamiya is like the super high end tanks.
Right.
You know.
So did they?
It's like
why they didn't play well together? What happened?
Do you know why they don't play? I don't think they play together, but like from what I understand, the Tamiya system is more capable than the Henlong system, but you see it all reflected in the, you know, in the price. Some of those models are, you know, are real.
I didn't know if it was kind of like because all those come with their own radio, right? So I didn't know if it was like a radio frequency issue or if it was like the IR issue. I think it's more the IR, the range of it and such like that, you know. And then the Tamiya tanks have a lot more, probably more, I'm going to guess more metal inside it, you know, bigger everything, more rotation on the turrets and, you know, more scale features. But, you know, comparing to a Henlong, I mean, some of these Henlongs look fantastic. I got, 6 of them here now. And, you know, 3 of them are my personal ones because I'm just like, I'm falling in love with them. So
I can't. The video with you and Wesley airbrushing and painting these things, man. You guys did a fantastic job. Wesley and Papa, you know, both do awesome work on their planes and these tanks, man. But yeah, any of these guys out here need to go to Motion and get an airbrush, man, and start doing this stuff. Airbrushing is awesome.
I want to shout out this guy, Brendan McCormick. If you ever seen his channel, he's like starting to build up a channel. He did a whole series with our Benchcraft airbrushes on, he did his AL37, I think. I think he was one of the Disney ones, maybe. I think he did the Toy Story.
One,
the Alaska Airlines. And now he just did a great, I saw part 3 he shared in the customer community group where he had a crashed FMS Hawk, you know, all messed up in the nose. And man, he put it back together. You know, I skipped like to the end, and it is, you can barely tell that that thing had an accident. And he used the Benchcraft airbrush, you know, foam finish beacon, that kind of stuff, foam tack. And he worked it out. Like, I've done some nice fixes where I was impressed, but I wouldn't want anybody to go, like, up close. That one looked like, you know, super up close. Like the OB10 I customized, you know, I only customized it because I, you know, broke the nose off in a stall. Like, I wouldn't have customized it if I didn't. But, you know, it looks great from far, but it's, you know.
Well, the main thing is if a lot of these guys would just get an airbrush and start playing with it. I mean, get an old plane, start working on it, get you a few paints, and just play with it, guys. I mean, you will be amazed at what you can do in no time with an airbrush and how you can bring this aircraft to life. I mean, this is a prime example. This is the Motion RC 90mm F-16, and it came in the Fighting Falcon scheme. And yeah, y'all all know me. I like Arctic camo. What can I say? But yeah, this is it, man. And I think Todd Brita, actually, that works with you guys, he did his in the Arctic camo as well, and me and him corresponded and told him a few things. But yeah, get you an airbrush, guys. You got it. It's so much better than hand painting and things like that, and you can get very realistic features, especially tiny features like on these tanks that James and Wesley were painting and things like that. They're awesome. You need to get you one, definitely.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's just something you can do, like, you know, like nothing's, I don't know, I'm not much for sitting down watching TV, so, like, you know, throw a movie on or something in, like, the background while I'm always moving, you know, I always need to be doing something, you know, so, like, I can't just stop, and that is, it opened up a whole new world, you know, like, it's fun, airbrush, especially, like, I love the airbrush for hanger rash. You know, everybody walking up the stairs or something, dink, you know, you nail your foamy on the wall. You like try to be like the second you try to be real careful is when everything, you know, you forget the tails behind something. But then I just take the airbrush and that's a bullet hole. You know what I mean? Like you know, like Wes was teaching me that, and it's really fun. It adds life. You know, I mean, your planes get character as it is anyway. They're never gonna stay perfect.
Right.
Well, I mean, and if they do, it means you're not flying them. But I used to do airbrushing for Cerakote for firearms, and to get into like Glock slides, for example. Guys that don't know, I have a machine shop, but like, you know, this is a Glock slide that I've made. But yeah, we'll go in, make like stupid features with it, and get like a battle worn look to it, just like Wesley's Tiger of it. And the reason I don't have a tank yet is I don't know which one I want. What I would love to have is have one that's like on the wall, and like when people walk by, like by my office, just like nail them, just shoot them in the arm or something like that. Get my dad, by all means. Probably get, you know, because he can't fire me because he'd catch hell from my mom, but chase him around. Oh, it'd be so fun here because it's all flat in the warehouse and all that good stuff. But,
let's say hi. So I see Timmy Teuton in here, Shadow, David Snyder, all the regulars. Jeff in Lower Alabama. Is there a Jeff in Upper Alabama?
It could be.
Competing with Vic. What's up, man?
So James, a while ago, Deuces Wild, which is Mike, he was saying thank you for helping him get his F5 back, and he loves that plane.
Yeah, it's a good one. I had a lot of fun doing the video for that. You know, it's been fun. Like lately, I'm revisiting some of the classics. You know, to kind of update the videos now that they're all getting in runners. Because when I first got here, it's like the videos were already made. Like, priority is the stuff that doesn't have content. You know what I mean? Like, you want the product page to have at least a video or two of it. So, you know, that's where a majority of videos get watched, is through motionrc.com. So you got to fill those out. But when, you know, the pages are full of, you know, now old power systems, so it's great. Yeah, bring it on. Send it over here. Let's fly it. I had a lot of fun with the F5. It is fast.
How would you compare that one to the Mirage?
The Mirage, I would say it's similar in speed. You know, if something's going to catch the Mirage, because the Mirage to me was always the fastest 80, like we were talking last night.
Right.
The Mirage body is more of a 70 body, and I'm just looking at the F5 now, and you know, the F5's a little bigger than the Mirage. I think the Mirage, especially with the in-runner now, would probably they'll give each other a run for money in speed, you know. Yeah. But, you know, the thing about the Mirage is it's a Delta, so you got to be ready for the, you know, I don't think the Mirage has flaps, does it? It might. I think it does.
You can
It's been a while since I took my Mirage out. But at least with the F5, you get, you know, you can slow it down, but they want to land hot. You know, they do want to land a little hot. You got to be ready for them. Like with both of those models are the type of models where I'm at like 50% on my aileron rates, you know? Like, be ready for it because it'll drill bit in a heartbeat. Yeah. Start really low, you know, do your ovals, trim it out, work on your approaches like we've been doing now. Like, you know, I've been loving doing this Learn to Land series with Patrick. Can't thank that dude enough for helping us out with that. But, you know, I hope it helps people to, you know, when you're maiden in a plane, don't worry about flying it yet, you know, take off. Get it trimmed as quickly as possible as you can, you know, on those first 2 ovals maybe. Right. And then immediately drop that gear, drop your flaps, see how it behaves, and bring it up high, see how it's going to behave in a stall, and then start working on approaches. And if you got a good one coming in, take it. And then go back up. Like, keep it short and sweet the first couple flights. Don't, you know, get used to your aircraft. You got to learn your aircraft, you know. There's really no other way to describe it. Like, you know, you made an investment, you know, you want that investment. The more flights you get out of it, the more your money stretches. So that first, you know, plane, like a high-wing Cub, no, I'm not doing. But with a jet, yes. Or a Warbird, yes. I gotta see that behavior and just be ready for it. Because like even the MiG, we just did the MiG. That was the first time I ever flew it. And you know, that first flight, you know, I'm lucky that I have Patrick standing there with me for it, so he can sort of talk me through. He knows the dynamics of that aircraft already. You know, watching videos only does so much. But when you are, you know, when you're behind the sticks, I'm like anyone else. I get fearful, and you know, I always get scared of flying slow with a jet. Like, you know, I'm trying to learn to do high alpha, but I'm always thinking like, you know, it's just gonna drop out of the sky. And then I'll be one of those people saying brown out when no, I just had no freaking airspeed. You know, like I did that to an F-18 a while back, and I'm like, I think I lost signal. I'm like, no, I didn't. They're like, Patrick was like, no, you had no air, dude. Everything was moving on your way down. Like that was it. You know. So that makes me nervous. But a plane like the MiG can handle it. Right. You know, and I'm like anyone else. I don't. You know, especially because we're always flying different stuff. You know, I don't get a chance to really sit there. You know, I don't get 100 flights on a plane before a video. I wish I did. You know what I mean? So you just gotta sort of go with it. And this is, you know, this is great. But now, like the intent is to keep getting these out, and like I can always update the video. I can always get better with the plane. I can always, you know, like you know, can always make it a little better. But then there's so many other people. Like I like to call attention. That's why I love this whole live community. Like everybody's flying everything now, and like there's so many different people that you can get information from. So it helps. You know, I think all this social media, you know, the good parts about it is stuff like this. You know, let it focus on the helpful stuff. That's what it's best for, and that's where it really shines.
And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I love flying, but my favorite part of flying is landing, because it's like so much skill, especially when you got like a crosswind, or you got a wind that's like no wind. All of a sudden, it's 5 miles an hour dead. Now it's 10 miles an hour. Like it's constantly changing. It's just that dynamic, right? And I'll be the one at the field where, you know, the wind's kicking up and people are kind of like just sitting around and just they're waiting for everything to die down. Like, no, I'll grab, you know, one of my cheaper planes, throw it in the air, and just that's my way of like forcing myself to learn. Do it. Go up, get it trimmed out, and as you said, just drop the gear and start doing the approaches. And just
and every plane lands differently. I don't care what it is. They all land different. They've all got different characteristics. You know?
And they should. And we wouldn't do this if they all flew the same. It'd be what the hell would we be here for? You know what I mean? That's what I say in the video. Like I want the challenge.
Yeah, well, that's like my wife and a lot of wives, I'm sure, out there of all you guys ask, why do you need another airplane? Well, because they all fly different, you know, and they look good, and they're all different. I mean, so that's why we need another airplane. I mean, it's what it is, you know?
Yeah, like, I mean, some aircraft flying similar. Like, obviously, you know, I just want to somebody called me out on a YouTube video saying, this guy's a sellout, he gets everything for free. I'm like, I'm a salaried employee for Motion RC. Like, yes, a lot of the aircraft I have, they're all owned by Motion RC. They're not mine, you know, so I can't be as dangerous. I want them to laugh. They got to make it to shows. They got to... You know, like I help the customer service team. If I have an aircraft that one of them doing, hey, can you go measure that thing? I have a question here. Like, you know, that's happening throughout the day. But like when I do buy stuff for myself, because if I go out on the weekend, I want something that I don't have to worry that, I'm hurting. I'm going to go try to fly, my own stuff. So in that sense, like, if I owned a T-33, I probably wouldn't buy an L-39. To me, I fly them both. They're similar aircraft, but like I want one Delta, I want a high wing Cub, I want a tail dragger. Like if I was not working for a company, I'd probably have one of each sort of type. You know what I mean? Like I'd land on the frame that I like the most, and then I don't think I'd be the type of person that'd be rushing out to get every single new thing, but like one of like my favorites, like, would more than satisfy me, because something for each day. Like we have a lake real close, and we don't sell much float stuff, but like on a weekend I have a few, high wing Cub float flyers that I'll just take out there on my own and say, hey, well, I'm going out, and like I enjoy that. That's probably my favorite place to fly, is just alone at a lake with a big stall plane. Is probably my most fun. But yeah, the variety of it is great, and learning about all these jets, for the most part, they do. They all have their own quirks and characteristics, and that makes it fun. Yeah, like there's still the aircraft that I would work up for is like the F-104, the 90mm F-104. That one, I have fear of, but hopefully it comes my way. I'd love to give that one a go. I don't know if our field is right for it, though. We got those damn fishbowl, but
I was about to say that because like of course when you're there it's different than like on camera, because like on camera, I mean, it really looks like wow, James is getting close to that tree, or Dave is getting close to that tree, or Patrick. But I mean, it's all perspective.
Get close to the tree. But I mean, they're not. There's obviously, but you really can't like just have a ripping straight. Like, it's fun. Like it's funny when I go to Jonal, or when we have an airport that we can fly out sometimes, and when I get out there, it's like so different that, oh my goodness, I can I'll fly the big pattern like people, and then I'll do like 3 passes, and my timer's up, and I'm used to like 10 passes, because for the most part you're flying in close. But like at our field, you got to sort of come in, fly by it, get up and out. You're always flying in the vertical to get around, which kind of stinks, but it makes it like, for me, it makes it much easier when I do have an open space. I mean, like, wait, I can turn them down. Like I don't have to even start my descent till I'm straight on. And I can see it coming in the whole time and read it better. Whereas our field, that's where, get these planes, like you almost have to be different. Like obviously you want power in your turns on some of these things, but with our field, I gotta turn, start turning with no power, just to get low enough once I pass the trees, and then bring the power back in. Like, like it ups your skills for 100%. Like, So when I get to a nice field, it's like, oh, you guys get this all the time? How are you guys not landing in front of you? Like, like, I have an excuse to land down the runway.
Hey, we got a question from a viewer, Paul Hatcher. Paul, what's up, buddy? He wants to know which Avanti do you guys prefer, the V1, 2, or 3?
Which Avanti? Well, do we have a V1, 2, or 3? Are you thinking the FMS? I think he might be thinking the FMS.
Well,
our
the
Avanti,
you had like
the only thing we did was upgrade the power system on the free wing Avanti, which is still to this day probably one of the most popular planes free wings ever produced, if not the most. I mean, it's a type of plane I feel like it always pops up in the comments, like, man, I can't believe I waited so long to get, what a great plane. Like, and it is. Personally, sport jets just don't do it for me, looks-wise. Even the Avanti, I'm like, but it flies fantastically.
Yeah. I know the same way, like even
now as an in-runner, you took a great plane that was already efficient as an airframe and just made it more efficient and faster. Like, it's a trip,
Well, that's like the Stinger 90, man. I love my Stinger 90, and for a sport jet, it doesn't look like a sport jet. It looks like a T-45 now. But hey, man, that's a good flying jet. And
I see people do that with the Avantis too. Turn the Avanti looks like T-45 seems to be a good like option that people do when you want to make it scale. Mm-hmm. To me, like I always choose a scale aircraft over a sport aircraft. That's why I like the L-39, the T-33. They can do almost everything the Avanti can do aerobatically. And they just, I'm like, wow, that really flew, like there was a real person at some point. That's also what I love about this hobby, is reading up on the history, and like, that's why Alpha loves it too. Like, because, he makes a lot of these planes, picks liveries based on guys he knows, and and like stories, and giving back to that. It's a way to relive history, because these days are never coming back. I feel like it'll be, I doubt we'll ever see an aerial pilot to pilot, anything like the romance of like warbirds, like those days are part of history, and those are my favorite, like propeller warbirds or something romantic about that time period and stuff. But yeah, it's great to sort of keep it in people's, lexicon, if you will.
Right.
Dustin, I don't know how old you are. You're about my age, but like, you don't see too many younger people getting excited about this stuff, because obviously they're not around it as much. I was the same way growing up. I just never knew anybody like that. But
I think a lot of it too is people our age and our generation and the younger generations, they don't appreciate the history as much, like how quickly things developed. Going from like, and again, like I love history, because history shows you like where society came from and like where we're moving toward and whatnot. But I mean, it's I've always loved the military. I grew up in a military family, so I kind of had that. I don't necessarily say push, but influence, if you will.
Of course.
With it, I just finished the book, Top Gun: An American Story, and it was talking about the F4s and how they actually started Top Gun, and flying against the MiGs over in Vietnam and whatnot, and involving the missiles, because at first the missiles were just garbage. No other way to describe it. That was really interesting, because this guy, like, he developed it. Developed it being the Top Gun course. And I mean, it's just incredible. It really is.
It's awesome. I mean, just looking at these planes and like realize somebody designed this. Like, like, I want to shake the man's hand who designed the Spitfire. How'd you make something so perfect?
Or you look at the L4 crazy. And you're like,
and then the crazy guy who got in the new jet was like, I don't know if this works. You think it's gonna work? Math checks out. Let's do it. All right.
Right. Yeah.
But
all right, I'll do it.
Jeff, Paul Hatcher a while ago asked, "Are you going to the Johnson County Fly-In this weekend? Do you know anything about it?"
I don't know that I've heard anything about it, man. Because everything around here has been so canceled. You just don't never know what's going on and what's not.
Well, it's on, and it's literally like 5 minutes from my house, so I'll probably swing by at some point just to say hey.
Is that turbines, or is it foamies, or what is it?
I mean, it's everything. It won't be turbines, but I mean, balsa, foamies, jets, helicopters, maybe. A good friend of mine, he's really big into helis. He actually brought over one of his like huge helis. He does a lot of like 3D stuff. Okay. I don't know. Yeah. I guess it's called 3D for helos. I don't know. I'm not a helo guy. And like, he was flying in front of, because it was, so every year, short story, every year for my birthday, I have a cookout. We have a berm. I have a range behind my parents' house. We live on an old farm, and we shoot. So it's like cookout, shootout. And anyway, he brought his helo over because he's like, hey, can I fly it over your place? Sure. I mean, he's sitting there like doing like going like inverted, and then like flying like at a 45-degree angle up, like, and just like going around like a tornado. I'm like, and me, like, everybody's like jaw dropped, and he's just sitting there like, tick, tick, like it's nothing. I'm like, then he turns upside down because the grass was long, and like tries to cut the grass. I'm like, I'm backing away in case one of those rotors lets go, right?
That's so scary. Helis scare me to death. Like, filming them, I always grab the longest lens possible and stand as far back as possible. I never feel comfortable around a 3D heli. These big Roban scale ones, great. They fly nice and easy the way a heli's supposed to fly. But 3D was one of those things. It's amazing to watch, especially if you go to Turnell and you see like a 3D pilot with a heli pilot, and they're circling each other and doing crazy stuff. Like, I give those guys a lot of credit. I saw a question pop up that I wanted to answer quick. Lionel Randall, he asked when we do a landing segment on crosswind landings, and I would say yes. We can't predict the wind. I try not to go out when it's windy. That's the best option, is to not, fly if you got a crosswind. But the thing about a crosswind landing, at least in my experience, it's very hard to. There's no real right way to teach, you know. Like if you're coming in crosswind, like the wind is usually swirling around. You probably didn't intend for that to happen. So it's the type of thing you can't control gusts, and you know you got to just be. It's something you're going to learn, you know, to be on. All I can say is try to point your nose to the wind, alter your landing pattern a little bit, you know, or don't take off if it's too crazy. Crosswind would be me. But if we're out there and we do get, you know, pickups, we'll definitely try to do it. But I feel like it's something that's hard to explain. You got to learn the basics. Once you know the basics of how to land whatever aircraft you have, you're gonna learn under fire how to bring it down in a crosswind. You know.
Yeah.
That's my best answer for you. And then I saw somebody say no jolly good flying, and no, honestly, the guy who was running it, who gave us access to that airport, that we sort of lost that location for whatever reason. So we're looking for something else. And now, though, with the whole COVID and I don't, it's just a pain in the butt, you know, to host a show under all these crazy rules. Who knows? It's so hard to plan right now what's going to happen because you just don't know. I mean, my kids are getting ready to start school in 2 weeks, and my wife's a teacher down here, and like, they still don't know what's going to happen. I'm like, you went in to set up your class today, but she might not, you know, they may turn around in a week and say, we're all back to online, like, you know. So who knows?
Yeah.
I haven't worried about the show schedule. The only show I still have planned that I'd like to go down to is Wesley Miller. You know, I've been dying to get down there to visit Wes, and I know they're doing a show for Toys for Tots in like November-ish. So we're going to try to get down there for a few days. You know, but who knows at that point? Florida is going to detach from the United States, and you know if it's going to be there. Like, I don't know.
That's California.
Well, not by choice, just with, you know, the whole, you know, apparently you know, everything you read, Florida's now like, you know, beating countries in cases and stuff, but like, I'm like anyone else. I don't know what.
I want to give a shout out. I want to give a quick shout out to my man Dave's RC for. You know, I won a plane on his channel, and I've told a lot of the guys on here that I'm going to get the Motion RC F14, and then I'm going to do the mods that Dustin and Rich Baker have worked on, do them on the channel. We're going to document and get Dustin to help me with a lot of that stuff. So it'll be something we'll be working on kind of together. Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Dave's home of the giveaways, guys. I've won 3 planes on Dave's channel. I've won a MiG-15, I've won a F-15, and now I've won an F-14.
So it's rigged, is what
it's
you're saying.
rigged. Oh no, it's rigged.
Hey, look, man, look. What can I say? It's
he only wants to give it to good-looking people.
Look,
so.
I'm over here. I'm over here like 2000. Elections. I'm over here like Al Gore, like, we need to recount that crap. Because you won 3. I've won none. Matter of fact, I was on the phone with him. We're sitting there chit-chatting, right? He goes, man, if I win, I'm like, dude, you already won 2. You ain't gonna win. And all of a sudden it's like, boom, 6. I'm like, you bleep, bleep, bleep. So I'm like, I won!
Well, look, I won a checker the same night, and I won I think that was from Dave. And then I also won a soldering iron, which I got from Ray. Thank you so much, Ray. Got that in the mail yesterday, buddy. And that will come to good use, I promise you. So thank you guys, all of you, for everything. And can't wait to get that F-14 and start working on it. And Dave, I'm going to get up with you, buddy, because I got some things I want to talk to you about with that and try to get you in here. And yeah, so me and Dustin will get with you on that. So be ready. But James, you know, all the guys out there have always, you know, asking the questions, what can you tell us? What's coming down the pipe? So I'm going to go ahead and ask you since you're here.
Oh, man.
Well,
first,
come on.
what is it coming down the pipe? Well, as Alpha would say, something, you know, for everyone. I will say I do have something new in my presence. That doesn't necessarily mean anything as far as when everybody else will be able to find out. But, you know, we could get started, you know, gathering some media of it, learning it, you know, getting ready for the questions and such. But yeah, that's about all I'm going to be able to discern. But I would love to come back on our next big release. You know, I'll pop on that Wednesday. It's probably going to be going forward, now that we're doing a live show every Friday, that's probably where, we'll hold everything off till a Friday to make our announcements. So, that's where you'd see it. So then by next Wednesday, I'd happily come on and answer under the fire, all about the whatever it is. But we have so much stuff coming, not just free wing and flight line, which is what everybody loves. But, we just got the Nexa planes, Tamiya tanks all of a sudden on their semi-trucks. The construction equipment that we announced is getting here. The boats, it's like so many brands and, types of products. Like, we're filling out all of our categories in a big way. And, that's Motion RC is always, that's why they named the company Motion RC. It was never just going to be, Fly RC. It was going to be anything in motion, that involves. So, we, in the quest to be, one of the biggest, best hobby shops as they grow, just as long as, you keep the two things. You got to find the right products that fit the Motion RC brand that we feel, represent us well. You've seen over time brands have come and gone from us, from our place, and the ones that stick, we want, the very best there. So, but I can't tell you what it is. That would not be my, not in my allowable, not that I get fired, but
You gotta keep us guessing, man. I know how that works.
But like, all I could say is people are gonna flip. I think people are gonna flip. But you'll always get half the people say, "What?
That's right. Yeah.
Like no matter what comes out.
Yeah.
Whereas we all should be thankful that so many aircraft are coming out.
Right.
And
I'll fully admit, I'm that guy, but it's really on P51s. P51s are like the Honda Civics of the RC world. I get it. People love them. They love them. But I've got 4. I'm like...
Since I've been here, we only did one, and it was the little Tossin boss, and that's just really because, they see... They were sort of like a, fun fighters used to be a big thing in like 2010s and the late 2000s, little Chuck Warbirds. So that's sort of where Flightline was like, let's make some of these. So there's definitely more of those probably in the pipeline. And that's the thing, as Alpha would say, like, there's always a bunch of projects. And now from all these different brands, there's tons of projects in the works at all different levels of, of production, and some, like, I'll find out about some way too early and they get delayed a little bit, and then a new one, that's coming, and
Let's just.
But me personally, I don't worry about it till it's in my hands and I can actually do something.
Yeah, I will say, man, I did the because a good friend of mine lives up in Michigan or Minnesota. It's where they have like a lot of warbirds. It's like a flight museum. They have Sarah Sue up there, the P-51. And I did my first of 3, because I had to rebuild it 3 times. P-51, the 850 millimeter one, because I didn't really realize like how fast that son of a gun was. And I lost orientation on a cloudy day. It went in, rebuilt it, it went in. And a friend of mine's like, you should really paint your tail like everybody else does. Like it shows in the livery in the box. I'm like, red tail it is. And I haven't lost it since.
If I was a football fan, Red Tails, I hope the Redskins go with Red Tails as a new name. I think that would be sweet.
Oh, that'd be awesome. And then have
with a warbird as its logo, that would be sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to paint your tail. Yeah, P-51s, I never bought one personally. I don't own, a P-51, but just because, none ever really came around. I have nothing against it. But really, Flightline makes my 2 favorites, the Spitfire and the Corsair, as far as profiles, wing shapes.
I mean, you can't dismiss that Corsair.
Oh,
yeah, it's just,
boy.
Yeah. Those 2 are my favorite tail draggers ever. And then I think my third one, like I'm between like a P40 or probably P40 would be my next favorite, because that would be the biggest challenge. Like I heard P40s are tough, but like I can handle the Spitfire now, no problem. I love it. So I'm up for a big P40 challenge. If they were going to do it.
Going back to the landing is like the Corsair really made you have, because I always would try to do like scale landing. You hit the mains and kind of just roll out versus landing on all 3 at the same time. And that's like something I really, really wanted to learn how to do. And to do that consistently on the Corsair, like it's doable.
Yeah.
But you got to be on your A game to get that scale like fly in to do that.
Yeah, and that's funny with the tail dragger.
And that's what I love. Man. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, the Corsair is much easier to fly though to me because of the wider stance on the gear. Because the Spitfire is a lot closer.
You mean on the ground?
Like, yeah, and you get a lot more torque roll with that Spitfire if you don't stay on that right rudder and get up on the mains and drive it down. But yeah, they both fly. Once they're in the air, man. I mean,
that's the funny thing about warbirds in general. Like when I have a bad takeoff, sometimes I just land and start over because I can't.
Yeah.
I'm at the point now where I can get those scale rollouts and nothing looks prettier when takeoff's like I used to play basketball. Like when the ball leaves your hands and you know it's going in. Like sometimes you're taking off and everything's perfect, and then other times you're all over like, what the hell was I doing? But nothing's more fun and pretty than when you get a perfect. You start rolling out, the tail just lifts up, you're flying basically on the ground, and then she just, you don't have to touch it. That's what I'm trying to learn too. Patrick, he does that with all his planes. He gets to like points where his settings, takeoff settings, where he doesn't have to touch the elevator or anything to get rotation. Like he just pushes throttle, and then, he takes over once the plane's in the air. And, I can't wait to get to a point like that. It's crazy. And then he does that funky thing where I never thought about it, but he trims up especially on like a prop plane, he trims up his propeller, his throttle, just to the point where the prop is moving. And then he always puts a throttle cut on, but so the prop will always be spinning, and he likes that. He prefers it on landings and such because he's getting airflow over the wings rather than just turning off the throttle and, the becoming more drag. And then he'll just shut his throttle off with the throttle cut. And that's something I got to start doing. But I would be afraid that I wouldn't have the throttle cut on when I plug my plane in, because then the prop's always going. Right. I remember that happened to me because he set up the Corsair that we use for video, and then like a month had gone by, I forgot he did that, and he did it on my transmitter, and when I plugged in, the prop came on. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Like, he's just used to it, Right, he sets his position up. But really cool, yeah. Great for a scale look, like Vic says.
I was going to say, I hope Flightline at some point comes out with a P-47.
P-47 would be great, but I feel like from what Wesley tells me, like a P-47 is probably the easiest tail dragger to, everybody can start with a P-47.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for nothing easy, like,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, P-40, it's gigantic. Like, I feel like to do a P-47 though, I feel like they couldn't do 1600. You have to be at least 18. Like, I wanted to match the Corsair and like the Spitfire at least, like scale to the other ones. Go big or go home if you're going to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, I'll be all over that. But I want to give a shout out to.
I think a lot of people would.
For Dave Marshall, Air Marshall, because he's in here.
Yeah, I see Dave in there. Dave, we mentioned you at the beginning of the show. I caught the replay today. Man, like, as a father, I can never imagine it. Definitely shedding tears here. I don't have any words. Like nothing's gonna make that easy for you. But we're all here if you. Yeah. We all feel with you is the best way to say it. That's no fun.
Mm-hmm. We love you, dude. If you need us, you know how to get a hold of us. But the funny thing to me about his video last night was he called his Doberman like my UMX Doberman.
I've got the big one, man.
He's got a mini Doberman.
Like, did he really just call his dog UMX
125-pound Doberman, bro?
Oh man,
that's too funny.
He's got the big one. He's got the little one. I got the big one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, any of you guys got any questions for James? If you do, bring it on.
This week, this Friday, we're gonna have some fun. I got the base gray F-18 with the in-runner in it, and I set it up to the point just tonight before where I'm gonna put the linkages on and get it set up. But the purpose of this show, stemming back to the learning, like I know a lot of guys here probably don't need it, but these things live and for help. But it's gonna be all about pre-flight checking. I feel like I come across and customer service has a lot of people, control. I saw one guy you know, and I hate to call anyone out, but somebody posted like, you know, on my 8th flight, the control horn just ripped out in midair, or the landing gear fell out on my, you know, 16th flight.
Did a video about pre-flight checks, man.
You did it. I'll check yours too, but you know, I want to hit that in, like, so I'm gonna take the plane from the point. All right, I built it up. I didn't do my linkages, but from the whole point, like, all right, what can you do in the table before you even get to the field? Then on Thursday, we're going to take it out to the field and start again from there, you know, to the point of flying. I'm not even worried about the flying. It'll be all about, you know, the video will end with, now you can go flying. Whatever happens, happens from there on out. But as long as everything is checked and you did, then for the most part, unless you're just, you know, lying about your piloting skill, you know, anything can happen in the air. But, you know,
James, I will say this, man. Look, this right here is a powerful tool, and
yeah, man.
I have in my notes, I have a thing in my notes called flight log, and every time I fly any of my planes, I go in, I talk about how it flew, what it did, if it did something funny, I look at how I flew it last time with my rates, because when you got these kind of planes, guys, you forget what rates you fly that plane in, and who wants to try to figure it out in the air? Whereas if you'll go back and look at your log, you can go, oh, I fly this plane on low rates. I love it that way. Your CG is this with this battery. You don't have to think about it. And then in your radios, a lot of time, you can put in a checkoff list before that plane goes to your home screen. So a flight log is everything. And yes, I did do a video about it almost a year ago. Wonderful thing, and everybody needs to keep a flight log on every plane every time you fly. And maintenance is critical.
Maintenance is critical.
Right here.
Think about all the pilots who rely on the maintenance. Like, every time you fly in an airliner, like, don't thank the pilots, thank the maintenance guys. You know, this plane is 45 years old. You know.
Yes. Well, and every single airplane has a flight log that has to be with it. Yeah. And it's normally a book about this thick. And it tells everything over every year that's been done to that plane. And it's the same thing with these guys. I mean, if you're going to fly these planes, you need to keep up with maintenance, and you need to keep up with your flight log, how it flew, what it did. If you noticed a vibration, check it. Find out what could it be. Could it be a servo that went out like I had one go out last weekend? It happens, you know, so definitely.
Not a perfect process for sure, but, you know, the best thing you can do is, you know, like, so what I plan to do with, like, this F-18 here, like, we'll start in the studio. All right, I got it built up, control, once I get it set up. Now that it's set up, what else can I check? Like, I know I hand tighten the screws that put the main wings in, the verts, and the horizontal stabilizers. But what about all the screws? Let me check all the screws that I didn't have any part of. Go through each one, you know, like, let me check the ESC and motor. Like, when they hooked that up, did the guy slide it? Did it go in all the way? You know, like, these things happen. Is it pinched? You know, like, anything that might cause me a problem, it's best to find out on the ground now. And especially coming from my plan, if you find something on the table before you do anything to your plane, we're going to take care of you. That's easy. You know, like, that's warranty. That's no problem. But, like, the second you take off, then it's your word against, you know, like, and if you don't have video or anything, like, I don't envy a customer service guy's job in this hobby, because, you know, how often do people call up and say, I made a boo-boo, you know, but, like, you know, it doesn't happen all. It's right away. It's, you know, it was this, it was that, it was that. And, you know, you never know. Like, we're looking at now a crash airplane. How could I tell that happened before the crash or because of the crash?
Yeah,
you know, like,
gravity doing its work,
You know, like, it's tough.
Well, you know, we all fly these airplanes, and let's say you fly your favorite plane today or tomorrow. Okay, well, you notice something funny about it, and you tell yourself, I need to check that. Well, you put it aside, you go fly a couple other planes that day. The next weekend you go to fly, you forgot about it. You don't think about what you said you needed to check last weekend. Yeah. That one little thing could be a ball link, it could be a clevis, and when that plane's up in the air, bam, that fast, it crashes. And if you'd have checked it because you wrote it down in your flight log, you'd have saved that.
And, I mean, if you had a flight log like that, I can imagine that being great, you know, guns for you when somebody says, you know, what do you know about your aircraft? Well, here's my log. You know, you feel like It's an Excel file. Like, check it out. Like, all right. So then you got a customer who doesn't know you would say, oh wow, this guy knows his stuff about his aircraft. So
I will say,
what I mean?
I will say this for the guys that want to take up and do like these flight logs. My background is in firearms, so go and look at what we call like rifle logs, and in competitive shooting and like ones up for snipers. They do this in the military as well. Is I have 2 competition guns. I can go back and look at that data log and say, hey, I've had on this day I had this many rounds go through the barrel. This day was like competitive shooting. This day was like 0, low development. I can tell you verbatim like what the temperature was, what the humidity was, what the density altitude was, and the point of all this is when a barrel goes south, when it loses its accuracy, is when it's burned out. And so you can go back and see like, all right, I'm at 1,600 rounds. That barrel should be done by now, but it's still accurate. But the velocity's dropped off. Okay, I'll still use it. Right, so that data, and it comes in like a binder that's
your car. You get an inspection, you plug into your computer, it does that for you for a reason, right?
Yeah, and so
you had to do that yourself.
But you can get like these binders, like these data binders, day planners, and they have like all this information in there, and you just zip them up. If anybody's interested, I can post a link later about it. They're fairly cheap, but they're very, very customizable. Kind of getting to the questions here. First one we have.
I see Guniac with the planes.
Yeah, we got with the F-22.
I think the eventuality is there'll be no outrunners anymore in any jet. So, yes, I would assume so. At some point, everything will make the conversion, but I think at this point, it's just a matter of probably stock levels. Remember, we're not the only one that sells Free Wing. Free Wing's around the world, inventory, and a lot of other distributors. We just have exclusivity in US and EU now, and we're the largest distributor. But I would think the eventuality with what we have, I see it being a point where eventually there'll be no need to put high performance in front. I think right now that's just a way to differentiate. Because right now you can get a good deal on one. Like, look, you don't need an in-runner. It's great to have it. It's, obviously a lot of these models did just great, without runners. But that's sort of where, everything is going. People have asked for it. And, I think you're definitely going to see everything eventually get that version come in. And then once the other version is gone, we won't have to call it the high performance version. It just is the version,
Right.
So that would be the, my best answer for you there.
And then George Watch asked, is Motion going to get more into composite planes?
It's, again, like it depends on finding the people who want us to distribute for them. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these brands that you see coming in, sometimes it's us reaching out. Hey, we think we can do better. Other times it's people reaching, our product team saying, hey, we like what you guys do for that brand. Can you do that for us? Look, everything is coming is what Alpha will say, and because he's the main man on that front, he's fully in charge, along with the owners of what we bring to the website. He's seeing these places, visiting them, meeting these people, and that's what he does. And helping in design, that's his background. So I could totally see us being an everything website. It just takes time. Like right now I have that big 0. We still don't have the motors yet for me to even, but the planes sell out right away because people who want those type of things know where to get what they're going to get. But eventually we want to make sure every product we have, you're a one-stop shop. You don't have to go anywhere else to get, what you need. And, we're going to do our due diligence and make sure everything we sell lives up to our standards. Because obviously you want a quality product. You don't want products that, that people are going to be, constantly on the phone with customer service, bad out of the box, blah, blah. You want to limit that as best you can, but nothing's perfect in RC. But composite, I'd be down for it. I'd love to see turbines eventually, and I think we'll get there. And it's just all in due time. But, one thing good about this company, I think, is they, they're very calculated, slow growth, but calculated growth. And, you don't want to get in over your head with things, but, and then you got to learn the market too. Like, with the new products we get, we don't know. We can only guess to the popular, like the tanks. We underordered that first batch of tanks. We didn't realize, though. Nobody knew. It was like, but now we see, oh my goodness, there's a whole community that now, you touch into. So same thing with Hellies. It takes a while to learn the ordering habits, keep things in stock. Like they got a pretty good handle on bodies, but things go on runs. You know what I mean? Like especially now in the age of social media, 1 or 2 people post a random video of a plane. It's like, whoa, that plane's selling a lot this week. What happened? You try to calculate. Well, like 3 people did posts or videos on that, and it must have got it in people's idea. Oh, I need that. Like old things come back to life and stuff.
Almost like we were talking last night about the Roban A10. That's a big jet, man. And you're talking almost what, $1,500–$1,600 with no electronics.
Yeah.
That almost needs to be a turbine. I think that would be amazing if that could be twin turbines.
Totally.
And that jet's just amazing. I would love.
I think they fit 120 EDFs if you were going to go electric. You would need 120s in that. But like that's something again. I mean, how many do you think we have in stock of those? It's not. It's not a crazy amount. You know what I mean? That's not. Those are very special. It's like the Robans. Like how many can you keep in stock? That's a high price, So like there's risk reward, like if the sales warrant, we'll try to get back, but also things like that. You gotta understand they're not being produced as frequently as a foam aircraft can be. You know what I mean? Like they're just not. Things at a higher price, like Lamborghinis. How many did they make? You know what I mean? Like versus a Honda. Like there's different aspects. So if there's something you really want in that thing, like grab it. And
have you seen that jet? Have you seen that jet yourself in person? That
I've never seen it in person, but a guy named Peter Aller at my club has one. He has the I think the Arctic Camo one that he got from I think Roban or whoever used to RC Aerodyne, I believe, used to carry Roban at that time. And he's had it for like it's like a slow build. He's been working on it. I can't wait to see him like eventually get it up. That's something I'd love to see come my way too, but I'm only so much big stuff. I couldn't even imagine. That's why I need a team here. I need a balsa guy. I need a composite guy. I need like it would be great if there were more than just me. Like I can't fly at all. I can't but I'll always find somebody who can.
Yeah, that a little bit, man.
That's what I love about this community because I could find a guy like, hey, would you just fly? Me and Alex will just film it, and if you don't mind, like I love being behind the camera even more than I like I'd rather be behind it than in front of it, if I can be honest. So, I love filming. That's why I always
Dustin just proved, man, we can make a road trip to Atlanta. That ain't no problem. You know what I mean?
Come on out, man. Let's do it. That's the thing. I will let you fly what I got here, man. We can make a day of it.
Yeah, we can done. Yes.
So where was one question? Tim Toulon asked.
Timmy Tuton. I haven't seen him since Jet Jam 2018 was where I met him.
Oh, really?
Pretty good guy. Yeah, that was like the first show. It was like one of the first shows I went to, like the whole crew. It was like when I announced I'd be here, then Ryan and Mike were there, and, we all drove out to Indiana and met up with Timmy there. It was a great show. I wanted to go this year, and then the hotel was closed that I had booked, and not everybody was comfortable with being out. I would have went, but it's a different, I went to Tired Iron Aviation a couple months ago because it was just me. I wasn't bringing planes and setting up a booth and everybody coming to you. It's different when I'm sitting there at a booth and everybody comes to you. You got a plane, everybody touching. It's just it's not even for my own sake. It's just I could never forgive myself if my kid got it or my mom got it or something because I was being, stupid. So that was tough to, it's tough because you can't control the situation, basically. If I'm going by myself with just my own planes, I could, control my distance around things and, because regardless how you feel about it, it's I'm a better safe than sorry person. Might as well be. Why not?
Especially when you got family involved. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My wife, she gets on me.
Has asthma and stuff, so I don't know. I would never. Oh, I'd never forget myself.
Yeah, because it's my wife when all this happened and the CDC. They kept going back and forth about the mask and whatnot. And me being tight with that medic, she's like, "Oh, your immune system, you're already like at high risk, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Look, I love you and the daughter to death, but like I've already got 1.5 foot like in the grave. Like if it's my time, it's my time. Have fun with the money and just like I'm not changing. I'm so damn
I'm
stubborn."
trying to look for Timmy's question. I don't know if I can find it.
He just asked it.
Oh, elevator issues with
Yeah.
the Blue Angels F-18C. Before I get into it, as far as I'm concerned, no. Like that was fixed long ago. They don't even put the thing. The original issue was the plate. The rod that goes into your horizontal. The plastic in there, and it was on, and I caught it on one of mine. I never had the issue happen to me in the air. But I saw it was basically if there was enough pressure on the elevator, so you're coming out of a dive, and there wasn't enough glue in there, the foam and the plastic part would just push off the foam enough that could lock your servo, and then you're screwed. And that was an issue we found almost immediately, and jumped on Free Wing. We took care of everybody we could. We sent out notices to everybody who bought one with videos. I made the video how to fix this. And like we do with anything else, we ate it and but like that's now been fixed. Like that issue's not there. Honestly, I see the F-18 is an advanced jet. I think sometimes maybe people get too, excited about something and aren't ready for it. Like the F-18 is the type of bird where like, you could stall that bad boy like very easily and it'll feel like there's a brownout or you don't have elevator. And it's like, you might not have airspeed. You know what I mean? Like
right.
You got to be ready for that thing. And, it's, obviously it's tough to say, but as of right now, no, there are no known issues unlike anything else. The amount of tickets now that like originally you could tell by the amount of tickets coming in for a product, if there might be, a worthwhile reason. I mean, any business you would, you'd think they'd have, all right, this is abnormal. So it was. But now it's no different than the amount of tickets we get on any other aircraft, So, but push come to shove. If there is something still, we're going to let everybody know, we're going to fix it. That's what Motion RC's, here to do. I remember when 2 months in, and I was super impressed, was when the Hawk came out, the BA Hawk. They found a problem at the factory that nobody even realized and everyone saw it pop up, and they mailed everybody out pieces that you glue like, they were missing a piece that they were supposed to put into the fuselage on like the first batch, and they just sent them out. Everybody who bought one got one, and with a little explanation of how to deal with it, and then it was in every other batch after, but it like went under the radar, never caused anybody's problems, but I guess after like so many landings, eventually your fuse might split, and they just fixed it, and now that's like gone, and that's what I love about this company. And, I've been around the hobby a while. Like, I know customer service always is, but, like, our guys do our best. Our company does its best to try to help everybody. And, anybody on this chat right now, I'm accessible. You throw a comment on YouTube, I'm going to see it. You know what I mean? Like, you throw I would always say, go to customer service first. But 100%, contact those guys first, but you can always reach out. I'll do my best to try to help you as well. We're all hobbyists. That's the beauty of this. Everybody who works here lives it, you know what I mean, and flies it, and that's what's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to butcher this, but Surya, Suryaarc asked, will there be a F-14 V2 where the issues with the landing gear would be addressed? I got them right here.
This
is it.
If people want to do that, but push come to shove, I mean, Patrick has 2 of them. I've seen 100 of them fly.
Yeah.
I don't think you need it, but if you want more insurance, that's an insurance policy for you. It's a big investment. If maybe if you're taking off hard grass, but a V2 would be an entire new mold. To change anything and that's, again, is it worth? Tomcat still does really well. It's a great plane. It's one that I've yet to fly, though. I hope one day it comes across me, too. But it's one of those that just doesn't need, any media. It sells itself because it's a Tomcat, and it's so different than anything that's around, So, it's, I haven't heard anything. And even if I did, I couldn't I couldn't be at liberty to say, you know.
Well, I can honestly tell you, we've got a guy in our field. Matter of fact, Dustin's met him. He flies the F-14, and he hasn't. I mean, it's got factory EDFs in it. He hadn't really done a whole lot of mods. I think he did tweak the gear slightly, the main gear, but he hadn't done Dustin's mod yet. And I'm gonna tell you, man, he flies that thing off grass like he stole it. And you know, which again, we've got a beautiful field.
Yeah.
Like, almost like, you know, AstroTurf. But I mean, that plane flies beautifully, and he does a great job with just about everything stock right out of the box. So I guess it all depends on your skills. It depends
Look, to
on.
say there's a that plane's been out longer than I've been. I mean, that plane's probably 5-6 years old. So like, you know, if all of a sudden now people say like. You know, it depends. Like, push come to shove, every jet should be touching down as gracefully as possible. Right. But we're not perfect. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. You know, like,
we're humans.
Humans aren't perfect, but, you know, like when I watch Patrick land that thing, all the wheel, every time he lands, for the most part, the wheels barely touch. They just roll before any weight ever comes on them, and he's already slowed down. Like, you know, getting to that point is, you know, is where you need to be. Like,
well, and truthfully,
any gear's gonna be weak if you smack the runway. Like, you know, there's no.
Well, and like I said, truthfully, that's how we want to land any airplane. If we have our rapid, you know what I mean? But we all have our pancake landings and our hard landings. I mean, you know, it's just like the Goshawk up here, or the F4 sitting right here. If you come in hard on those mains, you are going to mess up the top of your wing. There's no way around it, man. So you got to try to land it very cautiously, and you know, you may.
We're human. You know, we're not perfect.
That's right.
We don't have assistants coming in. Like, you're eyeballing it. It's tough. So, you know, we've all been there. You know, we've all done dumb things, and you know, but for the most part, like, again though, the fact that you're making it, if people want, again, that's a big investment. In a jet, by all means, one of the higher end jets we sell. So if it makes you feel better to edit, then edit. You know, like, do whatever you need to do. But you know, now my thought process be, I want to see, with that on there, how hard do you land before something else fails? You know, like now you've changed the dynamics from, you know, where. And obviously adding something like that though, like, you know, I would say maiden it first without those things, because then you still have a chance of it. But if you say, I did all this before I took it up, like, once you start modding before you do anything, then your warranty's gone. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
the same thing with, like,
it's like, customize your plane, maiden it first, make sure it flies, make sure it's trimmed, then paint your plane. You know, don't go crazy before you get an understanding for it. You know?
Yeah, and it's like, I will always main a plane now before I like doll it up. It like, no, it comes out of the box, put it up. No, because before I used to go ahead and like paint it, get it right, get it all, go ahead and do everything. And I did it on one plane, and it bit me because that plane lasted 20 seconds. And
I did all that work on my Silver F-18 and then tail heavied it.
Yeah.
Like, I did CG for all my 3D printed parts. I was just too excited. I was at a show. People were like, "You gonna fly it? You gonna fly it?" And I just threw the battery in where I had it on the other one and just didn't even think. Took off, and I fought that baby for like 2.5 minutes before it went in.
You put up a great fight, though. You put up a great fight. One hell of a fight.
I thought I was going to get it. But then it's just like, I was like, oh, man. But she fixed up. But I never ended up flying her with the full ordnance package, even after I had it fixed up. I always just went with the missiles on the top. I'm like, I'm not putting anything. Because who knows what I did. I you know, like, trying to make it look scale. It's not designed for, you know, you add stuff that it's not designed for, and then, you know, it's on you. You know what I mean? Like, what was I affecting the airflow over my flaps? Would I have not had enough aileron? You know, like, it's not made for that. You know, these people put in work to make these things fly. It's amazing, you know, kind of effort that goes in, you know, not just Alpha, but the whole design team at Freewing or any factory. Imagine a balsa factory to do the work, the engineering just to get there. And then you pop out a, you know, a mold and take it off to fly. What if it flies terribly? How do you fit, you know, like the amount of work that goes in, like I was saying, anywhere from 18 to 24 months from, you know, from concept to production, you know, at your doorstep. It's a lot of work. And then to think that these companies are doing it for multiple aircraft in multiple phases of the game, and as far as I'm concerned, makes it say the hobby must be doing well if they're keep pumping out aircraft. You know what I mean? Anybody says it's dying that's BS. If anything, with COVID now, people are at home. It's bigger than it's ever been. People want to build, and
it's just like the boat industry, the RV industry. You can't you can't buy nothing right now that's outdoor related, man. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been tough, with the shipping and stuff. Like obviously we would have expected as of this time, some of the things that I know are coming would have probably already been announced. But things are just, everything's crazy, and we're doing the best we can, like everybody is, So. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for that, sir. I see if I lived in the U.S., they'd be my only go-to. But fly what you like. Fly from anyone. We'll be here, man.
Yeah. Right. So, Jeff, Papa Boozer asked, "Hey, is this Papa Dot tool in production yet?"
Hey, that's Dustin's territory, Papa. You got to talk about that, okay?
What's that? Channel 6 flaps? Tell James to keep my name out of his mouth. LMAO. That's funny. What I say, I don't even remember what I said. I just.
I don't either.
And Victor, that F-14 looks awesome, man. Good job flying.
Yeah, big.
Great job.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, looks very nice.
Unbelievable. But I saw your F-18 incident. That's, but that you said all the elevator checked out there from the second you took off. I don't know what to say about it, but I'm about to go out and fly this one. That just seems so strange. I don't.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. You just don't never know. I was telling you last night, my F-7F Tiger Cat flight line, I love it. It's one of my favorite go-to airplanes. It'll fly in the wind. It'll fly crosswind. It just flies like it's on rails. Yeah. And I probably got over 100 flights on it. I flew it last Sunday. It was having a great flight. I went to roll it, and it wouldn't roll, man, because it just wouldn't. So I got it back on the ground. Come to find out, the aileron on the right wing was shot. The servo shot. So I took it out. But you know what? That servo don't owe me nothing after that many flights, and I have flown the crap out of that plane. Fortunately, I got it back on the ground. I'm fixing it. Matter of fact, y'all said that my order shipped out today, so I'm waiting on it.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah, so it will be flying soon. But guys, again, that's going back to your maintenance. Things are going to happen. I mean, I don't care if it's a high-tech servo. I don't care who it is. If you're going to fly it, and you're going to fly it a lot, and you're going to do well with it, you're going to have issues. And granted,
is there a thing in this world that you don't have to replace parts for? I mean, that's the reason we haven't been to Mars yet, because how are you going to restock? You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to fix things when you're out there?
Exactly.
That's a logistical issue there. So, I mean, all these aircraft, after, like you said, back to flight log. If you get 2.50 flights on there, check every servo. Run a servo tester through it sometimes. Let it sit there and do its thing. Eventually, something's going to fail, and you just hope to catch it. The only thing you can do is hope to catch it on the ground so that you don't have to put it up at risk. Because, again, you're not just putting a model at risk. Man, your aileron goes out at the wrong spot in the field. It's heading towards people. And then you have a whole nother issue. This is still a dangerous thing that we do. We take the best precautions that we possibly can. But it doesn't mean, I could go back to Warbirds over Delaware, 2014. That Mac Hodges' B-29 almost killed me. I got the slow-mo shot. It went right over my head. That was the biggest plane I ever saw on RC in person. 4 big gas engines. He had the X1 underneath it he used to drop. I'd seen it fly a few times that year. And then this one show we brought it to, I had the super slow-mo camera that we had at Hobby King, and we saw it on the footage afterwards, but just his far left motor wasn't turning as fast as the other one. So when he took off, the thing headed right towards the people, rotated off, and I feel like I could have touched it. It was higher than that, but it went right over my head, and the only thing that went through my head was, what would I do? Do I put my feet out first to let those get chopped up rather than my face? Or, if it was coming at me, you have a split decision. And I remember I'm holding this super expensive camera, and we're all up on this little orange, gate that they made. Everybody's up to see it, and that's what saved people, because nobody was back in the tent. It ended up smashing through a big tent. But like I ended up diving, holding my expensive camera in one hand, and like somebody's beautiful warbird was like, they were all lined up, and we were all in front of them, and I one arm on the ground holding my camera with that, and like I thought I was gonna crush somebody's balsa, gorgeous balsa plane just to save myself, but it's scary sometimes. So pre-flight check's the best way back to it to do your best. Things are still gonna happen, but you should replace servos in an aircraft you love. Like, nothing's going to last forever.
That's right.
Upgrade it. Do real maintenance, like your car. Like, you're not... Get your oil changes, or you're going to regret it later. Check everything. Let a professional check it. If you don't know how to pre-flight check your plane, somebody at your club, will know and help you, These community now, I mean, with social media, the beautiful is you can ask questions and get good answers. Go to Hobby Squawk, RC groups, there's always somebody ready to help, and, that's the best thing you can go.
Yep. So, guys, anybody got any more questions?
Dana, I would have been killed immediately, but that was crazy. That was the scariest. My heart was racing for about 30 minutes after that. I had to sit down, I was so nervous. That day, it's in the video. That was one of my favorite videos. There were so many crashes at that show that year. It was like everybody, couple in the pits and the tents. I don't know what happened, but it was one of those shows.
Yeah.
Oh man, I probably would be the same way. Matter of fact, I know I would be the same way if something like that happened. Especially,
Alex was down. The plane was going right to left, and I was at the end where I was going to get them. I was lined myself up right at the point because he had flown it earlier that day, and I saw where he was leaving, so I wanted to be dead on with the slow-mo cam as it rotated. I'm in the eye cup, and all of a sudden I see the plane coming at me, and I remember a split second I went, "Is that? Oh yeah!" All of a sudden
objects
were "Oh my
in the
God."
viewfinder are closer than they appear.
Yeah, it was whoa. Yeah, I was the Oscars. I was super zoomed in, but unbelievable.
Well, you guys got any other questions for James?
By the way, guys, I just want to say, what you guys have been doing is great. I love your show. It's very laid back, and you guys both have good personalities that feed off each other, and like so many, great that you guys are even doing that. That you do this at all. It's a good show. I don't always get a chance. Obviously, there's some weeks it depends on the night. I try to watch them live, but I will 100%. The last couple I turn it on while I'm working and have it in the background, and I love it. I love it.
We have a good time, man. We've got a great support group with all these guys in here. They're here normally Tuesday nights all the time, and either on my channel or Dustin's channel, Raven Rock. And thanks for all the support, guys, to Jeff's Custom RC and Raven Rock Aviation. Is it just Raven Rock now, Dustin?
Yeah, I got tired of saying it all the time. I know everybody else did. So I'm like, you know what? The hell with it. Raven Rock. Short and sweet, just like me.
I like it, man. Definitely check him out, guys. And like and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notifications. Check out Motion RC. I noticed they had a sale going. I got an email from them today. Got several planes for $100, slightly over $100 going on right now. So definitely check them out too, guys, and support them, and hit them up. Let them know you appreciate them. Order you some planes. Got to keep it.
Yeah, man.
And, it's great. Got to keep James in a job, guys.
No, we're doing just fine. The one thing with Motion RC, they will outlast me. No problem. They got the right people in the background that that keep the machine running. I'm just a mini cog in the grand scheme. And
you're very, very obtainable, approachable. Very relatable, man. I thank you for taking your time to be here, and it's just been a joy talking with you and hanging out with you, man. Like I said, I'm humbled, and I appreciate it, man, very much.
Thank you so much. I mean, I appreciate the kind words, and with what I'm doing out there, flying, I just try to represent your average everyday flyer. I'm not trying to win awards for piloting skills. I'm happy when I take off, land, and it comes home in one piece like everyone else. That was fun for me. I enjoy the camaraderie of it all. The whole hobby in general. It's just, I couldn't think it, it's going to be part of me forever, regardless, how long I work in the industry. It's not going anywhere. I got the bug on aviation, and, and RC is the place to be.
That's right.
No doubt.
Yeah, man. It's awesome. So I can't wait to meet you guys eventually in person once the world back.
Once the world calms down.
Did you guys go to a Joe Nall? Were you guys planning on stopping to Dalton Falls?
Because
that would have been awesome.
Last year, back when I was working for Cat, and we're about to come out with this, another big release for excavators. Mini X is the team I work for, and I wanted to leave on good terms because I knew I was leaving, and I was like, I talked to my boss. I'm like, can I go? I really want to go to this event, and he's like, yeah, and I really want to go do this, but I'm stuck here. So he didn't tell me no, but it was really implied, you need to stay here. But
my wife hates Joe Nall only because it always falls on Mother's Day, and for 7 straight Mother's Days, I was unable to be there for her. So this year, she was so excited that I had to do everything for her on Mother's Day. So she was excited about it, but
that's awesome.
I can't wait to go back.
Well, but and I will say this for you guys, Wesley and you that were there in Knoll in the fall last year. For us guys that could not be there, y'all did a fantastic job, man, of coverage, and I appreciate it because I like seeing everything going on because you want to be there. We're working, we can't, but when we can tune in and see live what you guys are doing and you're interacting, it's as good as being there in some cases. So I think you guys did a great job of
covering. And I just think now with the amount of these live guys, if everybody's getting out to shows, if this was a normal year of shows, now that all these every night live shows, guys would be going to all these things, doing it all over. Just think about how many people would be seeing this community happen. I'm excited to watch your community that, everybody's here, grow even more than 50 or 100 people. This hobby's big. We got to find those people, and whether you watch every show every night or at least just pick one or here and there and support, the people you like. I appreciate guys like you just doing, spending your time. I'm a salary employee. I work for a company. Me going live on Friday is just part of the gig. But you guys, everybody else going live is, doing it for a reason, and it sure ain't monetary, I'm sure.
It ain't my lips.
I love it.
You're not making a living doing it, but, we appreciate everybody do because it just helps. It all helps, and, it's a pleasure, again, to be with you guys. And, again, anybody on there, guys, J.M.Burlich, you can spell my last name, you see it on the thing. But, I'm in the Motion RC customer group. Don't feel free to, send me a friend request. My Facebook is 100% work-related. So you can ask me a question on there. You're not bothering me. If I don't answer, it's just because I'm not working. But I'll get back to you if you have any questions. Hit up YouTube.
We'll get back with you. Yes.
Or, guys, if you've never dealt with Motion, you can hit up our customer service for anything. They're a great group of guys. Live chat, call, or send the email, and they'll get back to you. We're here to help. Yep. Never feel like you can't get in touch with Motion RC.
Definitely.
Amen to
that. So look, we're not going to keep you anymore, James. We appreciate your time, man. Let's get back to your family. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dustin, for getting everything lined up with the Skype tonight. Thanks to my wife for getting our premiere.
Yeah, I requested that last time. I was like, I want to look as badass as you.
Man.
Yeah.
On the thumbnail. Yeah, when I saw that thumbnail pop up the first time, I'm like, ooh, that's vicious.
Yes.
I don't know if they're gonna kill somebody or talk about RC.
That's right.
Yeah.
But thank all you guys for being here tonight. We appreciate it here at Jeff's Custom RC, and thank you for checking out Motion RC. Always, guys, Raven Rock Machine, or Raven Rock as it is now.
You're getting it.
Right. And hope to see you guys next week on Dustin's channel, Raven Rock. And as always, we'll be bringing you something fresh and new. And thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it.
See you later, guys.
See you guys. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks.
Have a good week. Later, y'all. Cool. We off.